Hey everybody, this is Moose 101, and I'm back. It's been a really long time, but I'm making videos again, and I have a mount for my tablet, and as you can probably tell already, it's a lot steadier, it's a lot clearer, and hopefully I'm back and better than ever. So today I'm going to start a new series that I want to do occasionally, where I'm just going to show off cards that I found that I think are kind of interesting or have potential to be used in any kind of deck. These aren't going to be like very competitive picks probably. This is not side deck tech or anything like that. It's mostly just cards that are going to be used in sort of rogue combo decks, but they're cards that I think are interesting nonetheless, and of course they always have a chance to pop up in a meta deck in the future if those type of decks would allow these cards to be useful in them. So today's card is Insect Imitation, and you can kind of think of it as the insect-specific transmodify. You tribute a monster you control and then summon an insect that is a level higher from your deck. So this card has kind of a lot of different uses, and of course its best uses are in pure insect decks, but also can be splashed in some other things that I'm going to talk about. So the deck that I was introduced to this card through is Insectors, just because Insectors kind of have everything they want in this card. It's an insect-based deck, and they're also a smattering of different levels, so there's a lot of different possibilities of what you transmodify into. So it has some pretty crazy combos, and the one that's my favorite is, of course, opening with Ladybug and Insect Imitation. Allows you to do some searching, but it gets a little bit better if you open with double imitation, because, well, one imitation lets you just get to Dragonfly, make it rank 5, and all that good stuff. Two imitations lets you take it a little bit further, so I'm just going to show off that combo quick. If you open with this hand, you're going to normal summon Ladybug and activate Insect Imitation, and you're going to tribute the Ladybug to summon Insect or Dragonfly out of your deck. So at that point, you can use Insect or Dragonfly's effect. I'm trying not to get my head in the shot, which is why I'm kind of leaning awkwardly. You can use Dragonfly's effect to equip Ladybug, and send Ladybug to increase Insect or Ladybug or Dragonfly's level to 5. At that point, Dragonfly's effect triggers, summoning Insect or Centipede out of your deck, who can use his effect in turn. Equip. I'm not going to show what his level is because you're about to distribute him off Imitation as an imitation, but because an equipped card equipped to Centipede was sent to the graveyard, you get to search your deck for an Insector card, so you can search for Mantis. Though it can actually be any Insector equipped card, Mantis, Weevil, or the spell, or any spell. It really does not matter, but I'm using Mantis because in my deck I only run Mantis and the sword, and I'm going to need the sword later. So use the Mantis effect to equip it to Dragonfly, and then use Imitation to tribute the Centipede in order to summon Beatron. Beatron can send a face-up spell trap card you control to the graveyard to summon a level 4 lower insect from your graveyard in defense position, and while equipped to a monster, Big Mantis will be treated as a spell card. So you can send to the graveyard with Beatron in order to summon back the Centipede. At that point, Dragonfly's effect triggers and can summon another copy Centipede out of the deck. Now, admittedly, the Gigamantis would allow you to summon an Insector monster too, but you can't right now because you need the Ladybug in the graveyard for other plays, but if you had a Fool's Barrel or something, you could also extend the combo that way. So at that point, you're going to use the effects of both Centipedes with Ladybug, and that will make them levels 4 and 5 respectively, and allow you to search 2 more Insector cards. So you're going to search for Insector Swords Excalibur and Insector Hornet. At this point, you're going to make some Xyz monsters because you have 2 sets of monsters at the same level. So with your 2 level 5 monsters, you're going to Xyz summon Insector Exosteg, and then you're going to activate the sword on it, and then summon Rhinoceros with Rhinoceros' effect by detaching 2 materials. That'll destroy the sword, and because you just detached the Dragonfly, you're able to add it back to your hand immediately. And then you can make a rank 4 with the Beatron and the Centipede, and because they're both dark, you have a couple options you wouldn't normally have, so you can go into like a Key Beetle or a Nightmare, depending on what it is you want to pass turn with. And of course, you start next turn with the Dragonfly Hornet combo in your hand. It's a really interesting little combo that they have set up as well as field presence, and it's one that is really fun to make. Of course, if you don't have a second imitation, you can just make Rhinoceros while adding the Dragonfly back and passing, but this is a little bit more extensive and fun. Now, well, that's an example of a deck that really makes, the maximum use of the card. It can be used in a few other interesting things, and there's one deck in particular that I thought could be able to use it, and that would be some sort of Erratic hybrid. Of course, tributing Erratic monsters gets their effects to go off, summoning a Dragon-type normal monster out of your deck, and there are both level 7 insects and level 7 Dragon-type normal monsters that you could use for this to make like rank 7s. Stuff like number 11 Big Eye and Mechphantomy's Dracosac. So that's definitely an interesting kind of play, but the other thing that makes it interesting, more interesting at least, is that the level 7 dragon normal monster that I thought you could use would be Red Eyes Black Dragon, and the insect would probably be Kumungus, a Sticky String Kaiju, just because it's the only level 7 insect that doesn't seem to be awful to draw. Now, using those cards, you could also use cards like Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, because you're using Red Eyes Dragon, or Red Eyes Black Dragon, so you have targets for its effects coming back from the graveyard. And in that kind of deck, you could also use stuff like Arcbrave Dragon and Sacred Store of 7 Stars, because you're running a bunch of level 7 monsters. Considering the fact that there's a new fusion monster for Red Eyes coming out that requires a level 6 dragon as material, you can use Tefnut with Red Eyes Fusion, to some of that monster without having to run other stuff. And you could also run some other interesting cards with stuff like Skull Archfiend, because you can summon him on top of Tefnut to get a different dragon type monster out of your deck and maybe make some plays that way. It seems like an interesting idea, though it's not something that I've explored myself. Now, I'd be lying if I said that Insect Imitation was super duper splashable, because the insect pool isn't great, but there's a few interesting exceptions that I think could see some play. One of those being Quackmere Beetle, which I don't have on hand right now, but it's just a level 4 monster that negates, or doesn't negate, it changes light and dark monsters that are summoned to defense position, so it could be kind of useful. But the other one, then the much more important one, is Scary Moth, which is a card that I always never understood. But Scary Moth is a level 6 monster with 2300 defense and 1800 attack, but it says that each player can only special summon monsters once per turn. So it's kind of a relevant Floodgate monster, especially if you can bring it out in defense position, where it's 2300 defense should keep it safe, and it can be used by a deck that summons level 5 monsters. I immediately think a Pendulum deck would probably have the best luck with the card, because they'd have an easy time of putting level 5 monsters on board, and probably be able to make use of the one summoned by Pendulum summoning each turn. So it seems like an interesting card, and one that I feel like could see some play as a teched-in splashable card. But add into that, of course, Insect Imitation can search a variety of random tuners and recruiters, and it has a little bit of niche use. I think warrants remembering it when you're building your deck. So that's all for today for Insect Imitation. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm hoping to get some more videos out soon, maybe some duel videos, or a duel series or something, but definitely some deck profiles, especially of stuff like Insectors and Ritual Beasts, once I've spent some time actually playing Ritual Beasts to figure out how they work. But yeah, I hope you really liked today's video, and if you did, I hope you subscribe to the channel for more content, and yeah, see you guys.